President Trump and his MAGA movement are going to war against a conservative legal institution that's had a profound impact on the American judicial system. The Federalist Society has been a major force in the conservative legal movement for decades. Its members serve in prominent positions across the country, and the organization has ties to several members of the U.S. Supreme Court. But last week, Trump called the longtime leader of the Federalist Society a sleazebag who probably hates America. Joining us to discuss, Zach Schoenfeld, courts and legal reporter here at The Hill. He's out with an article today detailing this split and why it's so significant. So, Zach, take us behind the curtain. What's happening here?
Hey, Drew, this split really broke out into public view after a court blocked the bulk of Trump's tariffs. In responding to that ruling and going after it, he at length went after both Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society, as you mentioned, calling Leo at one point a sleazebag. But even though it really wasn't until that tariff ruling that it's come out into public view, these tensions have been simmering for a while. Trump, during his first White House term, worked hand in hand with Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society as he reshaped the courts. He appointed quite a number of federal judges. He, of course, appointed 3 justices to the Supreme Court that have cemented its 6-3 conservative majority. But since Trump left office, he's of course soured on the legal system, both after he faced years of civil litigation, as well as all of those criminal charges, which he essentially believed were political witch hunts. And now that he's back in office, he's seen a number of judges, including some of his own appointees, block his various policies. So he is now essentially seems to be in the camp of believing that these judges that the Federalist Society helped recommend to him are no good, and is now looking to go in a different direction.
Is the real issue here that Trump doesn't really have an underlying judicial philosophy and he just really wants blind loyalty from the judges he appoints?
He certainly wants judges to uphold his executive orders and policies. I mean, you see pretty much any time that a court has come out and issued a nationwide injunction blocking one of Trump's policies, whether it be on immigration, his federal funding freezes, DOGE, you name it, you've seen the White House, his allies, and sometimes Trump himself really attack judges, even in one case calling for a judge's impeachment. So he definitely thinks that judges are overstepping their authority here and blocking these policies. I will say there might be some other elements too here that are playing a role in this split. One of the co-chairs of the Federalist Society's board, who co-chairs the board alongside Leonard Leo, had actually submitted a friend of the court brief opposing Trump's tariffs in the case in which the Court of International Trade struck down his tariffs. There's also another group called the New Civil Liberties Alliance. It's a libertarian legal group who's taken some funds from various organizations affiliated with Leonard Leo, and they have filed another tariff lawsuit against the president. So it's unclear at this point as to whether the president's frustration here is really just frustration with his prior judicial picks not upholding his executive orders, or whether he's aware of these specific connections where the Federalist Society connected people have been fighting him.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the Federalist Society was very involved in judicial appointments during the first Trump term. Leonard Leo, who Trump now says is a sleazebag, built that list that Trump used to pick 3 Supreme Court justices. If Trump no longer trusts them, who's going to fill the void?
There is a new group that is in town and working with the White House. There's, of course, some folks internally in the White House who are doing this. Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, as well as the White House counsel and deputy counsel. But in terms of outside influence, it seems that the main group that is now playing a role is a group called the Article 3 Project, which is a Trump-aligned group that's spearheaded by someone named Mike Davis. He formerly worked for Senator Chuck Grassley on the Judiciary Committee. He also himself is a former Supreme Court clerk to Justice Neil Gorsuch, Trump's first appointee to the Supreme Court. And we know that he's been working with the White House on recommending these first batches of judicial picks that we've seen the White House make in recent weeks. So he seems to be the main outside influence. And my colleague Ella Lee, for our story, talked with Mike Davis about the judges that are being appointed. And he essentially told my colleague that the Federalist Society, he believes, has abandoned Trump, both in his criminal cases and now that he's back in the White House. So certainly Mike Davis, at least, believes that these judges aren't being bold enough.
Now, Mike Pence, Trump's former vice president, came to the defense of Leo and the Federalist Society, calling them indispensable partners throughout Trump's first term. Why is Pence getting involved?
So if you go back to January, back when we were dealing with all those cabinet confirmation battles, and we were dealing specifically with the confirmation battle of RFK Jr. To lead the Department of Health and Human Services, that was a nomination that Pence's group, Advancing American Freedom, had opposed. And Leonard Leo, among his various groups that he helps run and has connections to, as there's a public relations firm that was helping Pence's group as they were working to attempt to oppose RFK Jr.'s nomination. So it's just another example of where the Federalist Society and its connections, rather, haven't always been aligned with President Trump on his initiatives. And now you're seeing Pence come to the defense, like many other conservatives have, to Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society's defense in all this.
What do you think are the long-term consequences if the Federalist Society is sidelined and organizations like the Article 3 Project end up taking its place?
I think one of the big questions right now is, even if there are different outside influences, will the judges that Trump appoints be any different? The Federalist Society has really been a mainstay of the conservative movement for decades now. It's helped build what has become essentially a pipeline, starting all the way from young conservative lawyers who are in law school all the way up through their careers, and many of them have gone on to become judges and even Supreme Court justices. And so I think there's a big question that, even if the Article 3 Project is running the show a little bit more, is will those judges be any different, or will Trump continue to appoint conservatives who have been affiliated with the Federalist Society? I think, at least for his picks so far, you've seen some of that, but also at the same time, you've seen him make other picks like Emil Bove, his former personal criminal defense attorney, who we've seen many people involved with the Federalist Society really criticize. So it remains to be seen at this point what the long-term legacy of Trump's second-term judicial appointments will be.
Really can't understate the importance of the Federalist Society on the American conservative legal movement. So it'll be interesting to see how this develops. We'll continue to follow it. And if you want to continue to follow Zach's reporting, head over to thehill.com and follow his newsletter, The Gavel, a must-read for court watchers. Zach, thanks so much.
Thanks, Drew.